Ja'Whaun Bentley's done for the year, guys.
That's pretty bad.
That's a problem.
That's a problem because I thought, looking at him and talking to him throughout, preseason, we got him for a couple production meetings. Felt to me like he changed his body style. Like, you've been around the league for a while and, he's been injured before, but he took care of his body in the offseason, cut himself up like T-Bone, dropped the fat, increased the muscle, and he looked quicker to me in preseason. Then he looked quicker to me in Cincinnati. And I'm like, holy cow, Bentley to me was sort of that just pick an A gap or B gap, run blitz him, and that's all he's really good for. He's a really good run stuffer. But running lateral, he had issues. And he was able to move sideline to sideline throughout the course of that first game in preseason. And I'm like, holy cow, being a captain, being older, understanding how to take care of yourself, and become even a more down player, meaning first down, second down, maybe third down, you don't have to take him off the field. In addition of, Taki that we'll see here really at some point, and Tavai, and the way Tavai has sort of transitioned in his game, their athletic linebackers are going to be probably, I don't want to say the better part of the front, with Christian Barmore being out, with Christian Barmore being in, your front line is the heavy part of that front seven. And I thought that, with the transition of Tavai and Bentley's ability now to not come off the field, the linebackers are going to be the strength. And now you're going to take a hit because now McMillan steps in, and maybe they move Tavai inside and put McMillan on the outside because I think Raekwon could play outside too. But this is a big loss for this defense.
Torres Peck left the game, done for the season, and I think Ja'Whaun Bentley is the Patriot defender that always seems to fly under the radar. I think he might be the most underappreciated Patriot.
I agree.
He's a guy that never gets talked about.
Tackles end up accumulating, like 100 tackles the last 2 years.
Last 3 years. Yeah. 109, 109, 125, and 114 the last 3 years. And he had 12 against the Bengals. So he was off to a good start, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
He never gets talked about. He's like this guy that just kind of flies under the radar. He's kind of taken for granted. And then you lose him, and you're like, oh, crap. You can't have that.
He's Dietrich Wise.
Yes, like another guy. I feel like we talk about Wise more because he makes some big, noticeable plays.
Yeah.
And had a great year last year.
But all the other guys up front get credit more so than Wise. Whether it's Godshaw, whether it's, Keon White now, who's coming on really big in his second year. But everybody's got to step up now. This is a bad loss for this team.
So my question is, how many more points did they give up? How many more yards did they give up? And the margin for this team continues to shrink because the plan here was to try and, defend well, keep the opponents to a low score and give yourself a chance. And now you're losing a key guy in the middle of your defense, losing a captain here, losing the best communicator out there.
Yep.
He's now gone.
And you see how, Duggar had to make the calls last week when he's out, and then you got the blown coverage on the outside with Duggar still having that green dot, so he makes the call. This is going to be worse against the run. I don't know if it affects the pass because now you're going to be able to, we'll see what happens with Marte Mapu, and when he gets fully healthy. Are they going to be able to play four safeties? Maybe you could bring Peppers down in the box. Maybe you bring Duggar down in the box a little bit and help bolster that. But against the run, it'll hurt him. Against the pass, probably not so much. So that's where we're at.
How bad is it on a short week to have it happen Sunday? Yes, they played much of the game without him, but to now get ready and figure this out in really 2 days' time.
That's a really good question because now you got to teach and coach more and adapt more to where when you're in your base defense on first down, he's making all the calls. So less of a teaching period, it's more mental. But yeah, you got to cover your ass a little bit more in a short week. Longer meetings, you got to trust, whoever's going to be in there, and you got to have plan B and C ready to go. Say McMillan doesn't do well out there, on Thursday night. Now you got to can we kick the Vi inside, like I said. So you got to have plan B, C, and D ready to go because plan A is out the window.
That's what I think. I think this is huge for Gerard Mayo and Covington moving forward. Like, what are your counters? Like you said, Zoe, what's plan B and C moving forward? How can you guys adjust? And this is sort of the next test here for Gerard Mayo and company in their first year as head coaches. How can you adapt now that you've lost one of your key players on defense?
See, going into this, I thought, you can't lose one of your starting safeties or one of your starting corners. Like, you lose one of them, it happens like you lose Gonzo last year. It took you a while to sort of come back to find out who was going to play corner. Can we get after teams later in the year? And you got better as the year went on. You lost Judon, you lost Gonzalez. So they can survive. But it's like, it's early. This is week 2. You lost him early in week 2. So Jeremy Fowler had the first one, right? About the team maybe expects that this isn't as bad as first thought, and there's potential that he could play and maybe not even miss the game this Thursday on short rest. So that excited me. So I'm thinking, oh, this is great. So you avoided catastrophe here. But during the game, like if you don't see him and he has to come back out on the sideline, that's a big one to me. Like that's more serious than thought. And just my experience with Ted Johnson with the torn biceps, and I knew another guy, a lineman, you guys wouldn't know him, but he tore his pec.
That's what this is, right?
Yeah, torn pec.
Yeah.
So he came to the sideline, and right away they feel like, it rolls up. You tore your pec. You're done. So later in the day, Rappaport has a report that it's worse than first feared and that he could be out for the year with a torn pec. So maybe the first inkling was it's partially torn, and then you get a second or third opinion. Like I would do that. Like if you have a tendon tear or a muscle tear, or you tear your knee up, you're getting a second, third, and fourth opinion. I mean, Brady went to Neil Elatrash and had his knee done. Gronkowski went out west to do his back. You don't always do your stuff with the team doctors. The team doctors are great, fantastic here. So sometimes a player will get second, third opinions, like we talked about with Tua. Until you actually get cleared to play. Like you're not really looking for opinions to hold you out. You're looking for opinions to get you to play. That's the way NFL players are wired. And Bentley's a tough guy, and he would do anything I think to be out there in the field. So
you think there's a disagreement between player and team and second opinions needed? And
I don't think that. I don't think that. I think maybe someone saw it, and maybe there's doctors that look at this and say, man, you don't want to push this because if you tear this in the next game, this could complicate things, the reattachment of it. Yeah. Maybe there's a chance. I don't know. I'm not a medical guy.
It just seems like the reporting was a little all over the place yesterday.
Jeremy Fowler's good.
Some pretty strong conflicting reports over the course of the day on this. Do you think that the Patriots are still acting like a Bill Belichick team where they're effing around with injuries and trying to get players to play when they otherwise maybe shouldn't play? Or is that what is going on?
I just get alerted.
Could be.
How many beat guys had this? Guys that are there every day.
I don't know. They rarely have stuff.
Yeah, so it's Fowler, ESPN, and it's Rap Sheet.
It feels like it could be one side is the GM or front office, the other side is the player or the agent.
Or multiple voices in the building, clearly, that don't have the entire story, right? And so
I feel like those are two opposite ends, and they can't be from two people in the building in terms of a coach and a front office guy.
But to Zoe's point,
right?
I mean, Fowler's usually locked in, so you would imagine that the source that he's going with to tweet that out is legit in his mind.
And just everything I've seen, too, with Mayo and Elliott, like, they're lockstep on everything. Like, I'm not, there's no divide between these two guys.
One of those reports is from the player and was right and was Rap Sheet.
Could be from the agent.
One of them was from the team, Fowler.
Like, his agent.
They're trying to get the guy to play, and it ends up he's not playing.
Yeah.
His agent's with Athletes First, and that's that massive agency that has everybody. So they're going to do everything they can to get him to a doctor to figure out what's going on.
So there might be a story there.
You just have that when you have two conflicting reports from national guys.
And very clear-cut conflicting reports.
Yeah.
I mean, those are opposite ends of the spectrum.
One's done for the year, and one's potential to play on Thursday.
Playing Thursday and done for the year?
2 days away, and it's a pec injury. Like, somebody screwed this up.
Or there's just a disagreement between the two sides, and the player wins out and is done for the year.
Maybe it's partially.
Some of those pec tears they can't even fix.
Right.
Like, it's just a time thing.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, you've got to rehab and do PT till the end of time.
And his whole game's predicated on strength and leverage and, taking on guards. He can't play with a torn pec. No way. I don't care how they brace it. Hey, if you like that clip, check out more videos from Zolak and Bertrand right here. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.